You've spent your whole life building a self, but what if that self was never real? There's a strange heaviness that lives in the chest of someone who's been performing for too long. You know the feeling. It's the weight of carrying a story you've been told is you, your name, your titles, your wins and wounds, the roles you've rehearsed until they became reflex. You wake up and the costume is already on: daughter, son, professional, partner, the strong one, the broken one, the one who has it all figured out, the one still searching. You didn't choose all of it. Some of it was handed to you before you could speak. Some of it you built with your own hands, brick by brick, because the world asked, "Who are you?" And you panicked. So you gave an answer. You gave many answers. And over time, those answers hardened into walls. Now you live inside them, but here's the quiet terror no one talks about. Somewhere along the way, you started to forget that you built the walls. You began to believe you are the walls, that without them, you disappear. That if you let go of the story, there'd be nothing left to hold. And so you hold tighter. You defend the identity. You protect the image. You scroll and compare and adjust and perform, making sure the world sees the version you've decided is acceptable. You argue for your limitations as if they were holy. You cling to your pain as if it were proof of your existence. Because if you're not this story, then what are you? Let me tell you something that might unsettle you at first, but will free you if you let it be. You are not the story. You never were. Identity is not discovery. It's invention. It's a collection of memories, labels, preferences, and fears stitched together by a mind that craves continuity. The you defend so fiercely. It's a character. A useful one, maybe. A necessary one, even. But still a character. The mystics knew this. The Sufis spoke of fana, the annihilation of the false self. Not as destruction, but as revelation. Rumi said it plainly: you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. But to realize that, the drop must be willing to dissolve. Buddhism calls it anatta, note self. Not that you don't exist, but that the fixed, separate self you think you are is an illusion, a habit of thought, a mirage created by memory and anticipation, constantly updated, constantly defended, never actually here. And the beautiful, terrifying truth is this: when you stop clutching at identity, when you let the walls crumble, just a little what remains is not emptiness. It's spaciousness. It's awareness itself, pure, unbroken, without need for story or title or justification. You are the one who notices the identity, not the identity itself. You are the space in which thoughts appear, not the thoughts. You are the silence beneath the noise, the stillness beneath the storm. The presence that was here before you were given a name and will be here long after that name is forgotten. This isn't philosophy. It's direct experience. Sit quietly for just a moment. Close your eyes. Notice the breath. Notice the sensations. Notice the thoughts that rise and pass like clouds. Now ask who is noticing. Not what, not why. Just who. You can't find it, can you? Because it isn't a thing. It isn't a noun. It's the witness, the aware presence. The I am before the I am this or I am that. It has no edges, no history, no future. It simply is, and it's closer to you than your heartbeat. So what does this mean for your life? For the stress you carry, the roles you play, the fear of being seen or forgotten or judged, it means this: you can stop defending what was never under attack. The identity will still exist, You'll still have preferences, memories, a personality, but you'll hold it all more lightly. Like an actor who knows the role isn't the self. You'll show up fully, more fully, even because you're no longer imprisoned by the character. When someone criticizes you, it stings less, because you remember they're critiquing the story, not the witness. When you fail, it hurts less, because you remember the failure happened in you, not to you. When you succeed, you celebrate, but you don't cling, because you know the success, too, is temporary, a wave in the ocean, beautiful, brief. This is what freedom looks like. Not the absence of identity, but the transparency of it. You see through it. You play with it. You no longer mistake the mask for the face. So let me ask you something. What if you didn't have to be anyone at all? What if, just for a moment, you let the whole story rest? The proving, the protecting, the performing, what if you set it down just to see what remains? You might be surprised. You might find that what remains is everything. We live in a world obsessed with becoming, but no one ever taught us the art of being. From the moment you could understand words, the world asked you to be more successful, more confident, more beautiful, more certain, more liked, more, enough. And so you began the great project of self-improvement. You read the books. You followed the routines. You set the goals and tracked the metrics and posted the progress. You became a walking portfolio of ambitions, each one a promise that this achievement, this relationship, this version of yourself would finally make you feel complete. But here's the cruel joke. The finish line keeps moving. You reach the goal, and the joy lasts a weekend, maybe a week, and then the hunger returns. The restlessness, the whisper that says, yes, but what's next? And so you set another target. You climb another mountain. You become addicted to the climb itself, not because you love it, but because stopping feels like disappearing. Because somewhere deep down, you've come to believe that you are what you achieve. That your worth is earned, not inherent. That if you stop becoming, you'll be exposed as nothing. So you keep running. But what are you running from? Here's the truth they don't teach in the self-help industrial complex. You are already whole, not will be, when you lose the weight, not could be, if you find the partner, not might be, once you heal the trauma or unlock the potential, or finally, get your life together. Already. Right now, as you are. The search for completion is the very thing that fragments you. The constant becoming is what prevents you from arriving. You're so busy building the self that you never stop to notice the awareness that's been here all along, unbroken, unbothered, utterly sufficient. The Taoists understood this. The T in Tao Te Ching means virtue, but not in the moral sense virtue as inherent nature. The way water is wet without trying. The way fire is warm without effort. You don't become yourself. You are yourself, effortlessly, completely. But the mind doesn't trust this. The ego needs the project. It needs the gap between who you are and who you should be, because the ego exists in that gap. It feeds on lack. It survives on striving. If you ever fully arrived, the ego would have no job, and so it keeps you hungry. It convinces you that peace is a destination. That wholeness is something you buy, earn, or manifest. That enlightenment is a trophy on a shelf. It dresses the search in spiritual language: awakening, transformation, self-actualization, but it's the same trap. just a more sophisticated cage. Ram Dass said it perfectly. We're all just walking each other home, not towards something, not away from something, just home, to the place you never actually left. So how do you stop? How do you interrupt the relentless momentum of becoming and simply rest? It starts with this. Notice the trying. Just notice it. The subtle strain in your chest when you scroll and compare. The tightness in your jaw when you think about what you haven't done yet. The exhaustion that comes from holding yourself to an invisible standard no one actually set. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to become someone who doesn't try. That's just more becoming. Just notice. And in the noticing, something shifts. You realize that the trying is optional. That beneath the striving is a quiet presence that doesn't need improvement. That you've been carrying a weight that was never yours to carry. Here's a practice. Sit for 5 minutes. Set a timer. Close your eyes. And for those 5 minutes, give yourself permission to not become anything. Not more mindful, not more present, not more awakened. Just sit. Breathe. Be the space in which everything arises. Let thoughts come. Let them go. Don't improve them. Don't fix them. Don't narrate your progress. Just be. At first, the mind will rebel. It will say, this is a waste of time. You should be doing something. You should be better at this. Let it talk. It's just the ego doing its job. You don't have to believe it. And slowly, maybe not today, maybe not this week, you'll start to feel it. The relief of not trying. The lightness of not needing to be anyone. The peace of already being home. So stop for a moment. Stop the chase. Stop the climb. Stop the endless project of becoming. And ask yourself, what if I'm not broken? What if there's nothing to fix? What if I've been whole this entire time, and the only thing missing was the willingness to see it? You don't have to answer. Just let the question land, and notice what remains. You've been taught that you are separate from others, separate from life, separate from the world. But what if that separation was the root of all suffering? Look around you, the walls, the screens, the carefully curated boundaries between me and not me. We live in a world that worships separation, that draws lines and builds borders and insists at every turn that you are here and everything else is there. You are an individual, a self-contained unit of consciousness. You have your thoughts, your body, your story, and they have theirs. You succeed or fail alone. You suffer alone. You die alone. This is the myth we inherit, the story we're born into. And it's so deeply embedded that we never think to question it. But here's what happens when you believe in separation. You feel alone. Not just lonely, though, that too, but fundamentally, existentially alone. Cut off, isolated. Like you're on one side of a vast chasm, and the rest of existence is on the other. You reach out, but there's always glass between you and the world. You speak, but no one really hears. You're seen, but not known. And so you build walls to protect the separate self. You compete instead of collaborate. You compare instead of connect. You defend your little island of identity as if it were all you have because you've been told it is all you have. But the walls don't protect you. They imprison you. Here's the secret the sages have whispered across every tradition. Separation is an illusion. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. The boundaries you experience between self and other, inside and outside, Me and the world are conceptual. They're drawn by thought. Useful for navigating life, yes. Necessary for survival, sure. But not real in the way you think they are. Quantum physics shows it. The observer and the observed are not separate. Particles exist in relationship, not isolation. You can't point to where, you, and the air begins. You can't locate the boundary between your body and the food you ate yesterday, now dissolved into cells. You are not a closed system. You are a process, a pattern, a verb masquerading as a noun. The mystics saw this long before the scientists. Advaita Vedanta calls it non-duality. Not two, not subject and object, self and other, inner and outer. Just one awareness, one life. One field of existence expressing itself in infinite forms, including you. You are not separate from the tree outside your window. You're both expressions of the same process. You are not separate from the stranger on the street. You're both waves in the same ocean, made of the same water, rising and falling in the same rhythm. And when you feel this, not just think it, but feel it, everything changes. The loneliness dissolves, because how can you be alone when you are everything? The fear softens, because how can you be threatened when there's no other to threaten you? The love deepens, because how can you harm the world without harming yourself? This is what spiritual awakening really is. Not some mystical event, not a lightning bolt of insight, just the falling away of the illusion of separation, the recognition that you've always been home, that you've always been held, that you are not a fragment of the universe, you are the universe experiencing itself through the eyes you call your own. So how do you move from concept to experience? How do you dissolve the illusion even for a moment? Here's one way. Go outside. Find a quiet place. A park. A backyard. Anywhere with sky and earth. Sit down. Close your eyes. Feel the ground beneath you, solid, supportive. Notice how you can't actually tell where your body ends and the ground begins. It's all pressure, sensation, contact. Now feel the air on your skin. Cool or warm, moving or still. Notice how the breath you're taking in was just outside you, and now it's inside you. And soon it will be outside again. The boundary between inside and outside is just timing, nothing more. Open your eyes. Look at a tree. Really look. See how the same sun that warms your face feeds that tree. See how the same earth that holds you holds its roots. See how you're both here, together in the same field of existence. Not separate, not apart, just here. And in that moment ask, where do I end? You'll find you can't answer, because the truth is you don't. You extend outward in all directions through breath, through touch, through attention, through love. You are not contained, you are continuous. And that's not loneliness, that's belonging. So the next time you feel isolated, the next time you're scrolling at Tua, Hing for connection, the next time you're convinced that no one understands, that you're too different, too strange, too much, or not enough. Remember this, you are not separate, you never were. You are the ocean pretending to be a wave. You are the sky pretending to be a cloud. You are the whole playing at being a part. And the moment you remember, the moment you feel it, the loneliness ends. Not because you find someone, but because you realize you were never alone. The world is loud, but beneath the noise, there is a silence that has always been listening. You live in a hurricane of sound, words, notifications, opinions. The relentless inner monologue that narrates every moment, judges every thought, plans every future, replays every past. The voice that says, "Did I say the right thing? What do they think of me? What's next? What if? What if? What if?" It never stops. You've become so accustomed to the noise that silence feels wrong, empty, uncomfortable. You fill every gap with music, podcasts, scrolling, anything to keep the mind occupied. Because when it's quiet, something else rises, something you've been avoiding. The rawness, the grief, the unprocessed ache of being human. The questions you don't have answers for. The loneliness that no amount of distraction can cure. So you keep the noise loud. You keep the world busy. You keep the self occupied. But here's what you don't realize. The noise is exhausting you. Not just the external noise, though that too, but the internal noise. The constant commentary, the endless analysis. The mental chatter that pretends to be helping, but is really just spinning in circles, solving nothing, soothing nothing, just talking. And beneath it all, beneath the words, beneath the worry, beneath the relentless thinking, there is something you've forgotten. Silence. Not empty, not void, but alive, aware. The silence that was here before your first word. The silence that will remain after your last. The silence that holds everything: your joy, your pain, your confusion, your clarity without needing to fix or change or understand any of it. Here's what the mystics discovered died. Silence is not the absence of sound. It's the presence of being. It's the still point at the center of the turning world. The pause between breaths. The gap between thoughts. The space in which everything arises and returns. And you are that silence. Not metaphorically, actually. The awareness you call I, the pure, simple knowing that you exist, it has no sound, no shape, no story. It's like the white canvas beneath a painting. It doesn't create the images, but without it, there would be no images at all. The Buddhists practice noble silence, not as repression, but as recognition. When you stop filling the space with words, you realize the space was never empty. It's full, radiant, peaceful. Jesus went to the desert. Buddha sat beneath the tree. Muhammad retreated to the cave, not to escape life, but to find it. To strip away the noise and return to the source. And that source is always here, always now, always silent. But you have to stop talking long enough to hear it. So here's the practice, the simplest and the hardest take. Do nothing. Not meditate. Not be mindful. Not practice presence. Just do nothing. Sit. Breathe. Let the thoughts come. Let them go. Don't manage them. Don't improve them. Don't narrate your progress or check if you're doing it right. Just sit in the silence. At first, it will feel impossible. The mind will scream. It will throw every fear, every memory, every task at you to get you to move. It will say, "This is pointless. You're wasting time. You're not good at this." Let it. You're not trying to silence the mind. You're recognizing the silence that's already here beneath the mind, around the mind, holding the mind like the sky holds clouds. And slowly, something shifts. The thoughts don't disappear, but they lose their grip. They become lighter. Like birds passing through an open sky. You see them, but they don't define you. You hear them, but they don't control you. And in that space, that wide, open, silent space, you discover something extraordinary. You're okay. Not because you fixed anything. Not because you figured it out. Not because you became someone new. Just okay. The anxiety is still there, but it's not suffocating. The sadness is still there, but it's not drowning you. The uncertainty is still there, but it's not terrifying. Because you're no longer in it. You're the space in which it appears. And that space silent, still, unshakable, has been here all along. So the next time the world feels too loud, the next time your mind won't stop, the next time you're drowning in noise and desperate for relief, don't reach for another distraction. Don't scroll. Don't plan. Don't fix. Just stop. Sit in the silence and let it hold you. Let it remind you that you are not the noise. You are not the thoughts. You are not the story or the struggle or the endless inner commentary. You are the silence, the awareness, the presence that has always been here watching, listening, holding everything with infinite patience and unconditional love. And when you return to that silence, when you rest in that spaciousness, you'll realize something that changes everything. You were never lost. You were never broken. You were never separate. You were just loud. And now finally, beautifully, inevitably, you're coming home to the silence, to the stillness, to what remains when everything else falls away, to you.